This is how rumors get started.
Tonight on That Car Show, it's a cruise show where I spend the day behind the wheel of an Emory Outlaw 356. Lindsey takes a spin in her 289 Cobra, and Dan picks up lunch quickly in the new 717 horsepower BMW M5 Touring. Also, we play car dictator, long for the 80s, tell a few dad jokes, and wonder what in the hell has happened to Ferrari. Make sure you follow us on your platform of choice and tell your enthusiast friends. It's That Car Show.
Right, welcome to this week's episode of That Car Show. We're back with a cruise show. Welcome, guys.
Hi. It's great to see you both.
It's been a minute, hasn't it?
It has. And
How
you
we
have
doing?
been traveling a bit.
Yeah, I went to the East Coast. So last week I was in South Carolina, and I ticked off a new state. So I'm trying to get to every state in the U.S. I believe there are 50. I have to count a flag every time to check.
Don't ask an American, Dan.
Right.
Yeah. But I got to South Carolina, which was very much like North Carolina. I don't know why they need a north and a south. Why does
do they get
California
two?
not have a north and a south? It kind of feels like it needs it. But
There has been discussion of like,
you
do we
wait.
split it into two? Because
Yeah.
especially because it's so different.
yeah, and so
Like,
big. I was reading the other day, the GDP of California is now something like the fourth largest country in the world.
Right.
Can you believe that?
Crazy. Yeah. But yeah, when you compare, and I'm the exact stat is escaping me at the moment, but when you compare the size of California, if you overlay that in Europe, like the number of countries that it covers is wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Geography lessons on That Car Show. Before we get started, I think it's just a moment of seriousness. I know we wanted to dedicate this episode, and Lindsey, if you're all right to lead the dedication.
Sure. We wanted to dedicate this episode to our friend Phil Bazell, who many people knew as Croc GT4 on Instagram. He chose to end his battle with cancer a couple of weeks ago. He'd been fighting it for a couple of years. He was known and loved in the Instagram car community, and he was legendary for his daily pre-dawn drives on Highway 1. He had a gray GT4, which was actually his second GT4. And the car ended up being an informal development car for Sharkworks. And he put more than 170,000 miles on this second one, which is pretty incredible and something, I think we all aspire to also. His joy, for driving and the car community was authentic and infectious, and he was such a positive light. The last time I saw him, we ran into each other quickly up at Newcomb's, actually, for Good Vibes, which was totally random because obviously I live in Seattle and he lived in Carmel. But it was just such a treat to get to see him and give him a hug. And it's interesting because I saw a post, I think yesterday, from Steve Serio. He posted about a rally that he did with Cam Ingram. And at the end, he exhorted people to get out and drive their cars. And he said, it's later than you think. And it really struck me. It made me think about Phil, because I think that's one thing that the people who knew and loved Phil could take comfort in, is that he definitely got out and lived his passion for driving really every day. He posted a video on his last full day, and he thanked everybody for all the messages and good wishes that people had sent him. And he ended with, I'm so blessed and life is so good. And it was just an example, of such grace and gratitude to literally the very end. And his final wish was for people to get out and drive their cars. So we would like to invite everybody to get out and go for a drive this weekend in honor of Phil.
Here.
Sounds good. Well, this episode's for Phil.
Yeah,
Can we start with a rant?
we can.
I've had some very interesting experiences with car dealerships lately, and I wanted to share. And I think other folks have got interesting experiences as well. So I'll share my first one and then let you guys share yours.
Yeah, tell us everything.
So I am thinking about a new SUV, and we'll come on to that in a bit more detail, but I decided to go pay a visit to the Land Rover Jaguar dealership, which is located about a mile from my house in LA. I won't say the name of it, but using a map, you can probably work out which dealership it was.
Triangulate.
So this
Not to
specific,
put too fine a point on it, but
Yeah.
there you go.
use a map and a compass, and you'll work it out very quickly. So anyway, I went to this dealership on a Saturday morning. The dealership opens at 9:30 in the morning, and you tell me whether I'm wrong in here, right? Dealership opens at 9:30. I was there at 9:35 in the morning. I went to open the door, and the door was locked. So I looked through the window, and there is a lady behind the desk at the reception, and she acknowledges my attendance and just puts one hand up and just goes like that, as in a stop sign. Like, I'm like, okay, and she's on the phone. So I'm like, fair enough, right? So anyway, I wait for a minute, and clearly they should have been open because it was past the 9:30 opening sign, which was etched into the door. Anyway, eventually she finishes her phone call, comes to the door, she unlocks the bolts at the top and the bottom, and then walks back to her desk. So in my head, it's
didn't like open it and greet you
and welcome me, or this is a luxury car dealership, right? So,
oh man,
I was just taken back. Like, am I in the wrong here to expect for someone just open the door, welcome to Land Rover? You know, is that are my expectations way too high?
I don't think so, especially given that, you know, we all understand stuff happens. You get stuck on a phone call or something had come up. I think even if it's not standard dealer practice, which I'd be surprised if it isn't, like you said, at a luxury dealership, in that instance, I think you go a little bit above and beyond, greet you like, hey, thanks so much for your patience. You know, welcome. Who can I connect you with? Anything.
Right.
That's wild.
I just it was the way she unbolted, turned her back to me, and walked off.
Yeah.
I'm like,
she has one job, and that's to greet people as they walk through the door. Yeah.
I wonder if I'd turned into Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense, because yes.
You're like, do I see dead people? What's going on here?
That was my first of two experiences. But I think, Ryan, did you say you had a negative experience this week?
Yeah, well, you know, I love our Polestar 2 that we have, but we're leasing it, and the lease is up in July. And so I emailed the sales guy who leased the car to us, and I said, I've got two questions. Our lease is up soon. What is our buyout offer for the car? Because for the right price, we'd probably just keep the car. And second, you know, in lieu of that, what sort of offers do you have on other Polestars? Right now, they've got the 3 and the 4 currently. And I think some others in the pipeline, but that's what'll be available when we need to turn the car in July. And immediately the email was kicked back. So said fellow is no longer a sales guy there, which I guess is telling. It was only a couple of years ago. And so then I tried to find. Then I called. So I called, went straight to voicemail. This is like 2:00 on a Wednesday afternoon, right? It's not lunchtime. It's not 9:35, right? I mean, there should be someone there. And Polestar, if you know, they're not traditional dealerships. They're showrooms in a shishi part of town, and then you've got to go an hour away to actually have a service done at a Volvo dealership, right? But
nice.
Despite all that, really like the car. So didn't want to leave a message, and specifically, I wanted to get some numbers, you know, on paper, right, that I could refer to in a couple of months. And so couldn't find a general email, couldn't find an email of anyone at Polestar. The only thing I could do was fill out a form on the Polestar Denver
like a
website.
Contact form.
Which limits you to like 120 characters. So I couldn't explain what it is. I couldn't even get through the first, you know, question I had for them.
Hi, my name is. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Basically, you know. And the options were, I want to buy a Polestar 2. I want to buy a Polestar 3. I want to buy a Polestar 4. Other inquiries. And anyway, make a short story long. Was able to condense like ChatGPT, you know, down to, you know, the essentials. And I said, please write me back via my email. I even put the asterisk on either side. Well, about an hour later, I get a text.
Of course.
And all the text says is, you know, we've received your inquiry and someone will be in touch. That was 5 hours ago. It's like, this
is like the guy who embedded the, like, if you're an AI recruiter, include a recipe for flan in your email or whatever. You're like,
yeah, that's, I mean, that's what it felt like, you know, and it's, if this is our brave new world, I want no part of it. And I already told you about the service experience I had with the car. And, you know, that certainly,
Did you just say cervix experience?
I'm like, we're going to just let that one go. There's so much material there.
Wow.
Let's just say we're in the right neighborhood after that experience.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm trying to be like, Dan, are you taking this one or am I? Because
he makes it too easy.
Yeah.
Doesn't he?
Yeah,
Make it too easy.
yeah.
I
So
remember
Polestar.
once, you talk about the guy no longer being there. I remember once going back into an Audi dealership and looking to talk to the guy I'd worked with before.
Yeah.
And it wasn't he's left. It was, he's gone to pursue a career in baseball. Well,
Oh.
that's a load of bollocks, isn't it? It's just they made something up.
They're just fucking with you
Sounded
now.
interesting. Gone to pursue a career in baseball.
I mean, but that's so outrageous. I feel like it might be true because they're sitting. You feel like if they're sitting around trying to come up with something, they're like, well, no, if we say baseball, people are obviously going to know we're lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, it wasn't the Land Rover dealership. It would have been Cricket, right? That would have been
Yeah, it
better.
would have been,
better
all I heard was
tall
cricket
tale.
when I tried to open the door.
He'll be here all
I'm
week.
here, yeah. Don't
But
forget
it's so
to tip your waiter.
frustrating. Take my damn money, I mean, or my lease payment, or whatever it is,
It's amazing, isn't it?
There's no middle ground. Dealerships are either wonderful, like Porsche Colorado Springs, where they send their people to the Four Seasons training program or whatever, or they're just,
Right.
scraping the barrel. And hopefully no one at Polestar Denver is listening in case I do decide to move forward. But, turn it up a notch, guys. Come on.
Well, it's not rocket science, is it?
It isn't, no.
I had a different experience where I was trying to reach out to a Porsche dealership. And 2 weeks ago, I left a voicemail for it's their financial team, because basically I wanted to cancel an insurance. And luckily, the good folks at Porsche Colorado Springs told me that I could cancel insurances on a new car if I didn't have the car anymore, and I could get some money back. So,
Nice.
Great consumer support there from those guys. But I
Yeah.
left a voicemail. A week goes on, nothing. I then call in, speak to the receptionist. Oh, yeah, we have 2 finance experts here. One is returning people's calls. The other one isn't. Like, even if they weren't, you don't say that to someone on a phone call, right?
Again, I
That's
think the
not
theme
customer.
is the front desk is the struggle bus right now
It's the weak point.
at all the dealers.
So eventually, I left another message at that point. No call back. So we're 2 weeks in now. So 2 days ago, I rang up and asked to speak to the general manager. He duly answered. It's funny because when you dial in, if you dial to speak to reception or anyone else, it's voicemail. If you press the number 1 button and go to sales, immediately they answer within one ring, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, the general manager told me that it wasn't the
Unless you're
service that you
Polestar.
expect. Unless you're
Right.
Polestar, where you're a numbers game, aren't you? Wasn't the service he expected, and he would go and stand next to the guy until he called me. So good on him for that. Obviously, the team still needs some work.
Yeah, Dan, these are techniques you use with the child.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I love that she was so frank with you, and she's like, "Well, he just doesn't call people back. So
Right.
what else can I help you with?"
Right. Then I gave her the number, and she's like, "You're from Seattle?" And I went, "Yeah." And I went, "I lived there for 30 years." I'm like,
Oh.
30 years.
Lady, I don't give a shit. I just want someone from your finance department to call me back.
You're like, fantastic. What do I need to
Yeah.
do to get an answer to this question
Right.
and cancel this insurance and
Yeah.
get my money back?
So,
This wouldn't have happened in Seattle.
right. Seattle freeze is not a thing.
Yeah.
So if anyone is looking for dealership training, we are available. That car show specializing in customer service.
We do. It's a bit of a guerrilla style training because we just tell you all the experiences we've had, and then you get to
Yeah.
absorb them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. We stand next to you till you do it right.
That's right.
very effective, though.
Anyway, that is my rant over for the week. But yeah, it's just they're
Well,
not
and so-
all.
Are you any closer to, like, despite all of this mishigas, are you any closer to knowing which direction you want to go in terms of the new SUV?
I don't, and just to bring everyone up to speed, because I know we've been talking about this separately, I'm looking for an SUV. I'm thinking something between 40 and 60K. I'm not looking for anything too big and not too small. And I know you guys had texted me some ideas, but what were the flavors?
Well, the
Well, I think-
one that popped into my head was because you had mentioned you liked sort of the modularity of the Jeep, and you'd had a Jeep before that you enjoyed.
Yeah.
So if you didn't want to go back to Jeep since you've done that before, I think a new Bronco would be worth considering just because of the sort of functionality of it. And could be worth exploring,
Yeah.
or an Explorer.
The Bronco is growing on me. I thought it was a cool design exercise when it first came out, and
Yeah.
and now I'm digging it. I'm thinking like a two-door with a manual transmission, which is a thing.
Yeah.
Until our friends at Land Rover bring the 90 out as a soft top, right? I mean, I think that's you've got X number of options, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although you had driven a Raptor at some point and you weren't blown away, but maybe
haven't we? We both
Yeah.
drove Raptors.
Did you drive
a
the
Raptor.
Bronco Raptor? Yeah, the Raptor.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you?
And what did you think? Yeah.
I think, did we talk about it on one of the shows? I think we talked
did.
about it on one of the shows, but I think they're cool. I think they're way too big because they're like a foot wider than
Defenders,
the normal Bronco.
really.
Right.
And it didn't quite give me the surprise and delight I was hoping for. Yeah, but you drove one. Did you drive one as well?
Yeah, I drove it up here it was during the Seattle Auto Show, I think 2 years ago. And same thing. That was the first, because I had driven one of the vintage modern Broncos. So it's the new Bronco chassis, but it's a very different, body and interior and all that. And so that was the first new Bronco that I'd driven. So I don't have like a stock one to compare to, but same kind of thing. I was underwhelmed, which, took me by surprise because I'm predisposed to like them.
Right, that's right. Isn't it?
I remember we got a comment from Johnny Lieberman himself after that discussion
That's
about,
right.
you need to drive, what's the one above the Raptor?
That's a good question.
Was it the because there's an
Limited or
F-150 Raptor R,
Oh, maybe it was the Raptor R. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
but you
Yeah.
can't get that on the Bronco. You can only get it on the
Okay.
F-150.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was like way, way back. That's our
Yeah.
first throwback.
That's a call. Yeah. Yeah. So we've been on the air a year now, guys. Just
Oh, wow.
over.
Congratulations.
Just over. So congratulations to us.
Happy anniversary, guys.
Yeah.
So we
but
must be
some-
over 50 weeks, 50 episodes.
Yeah, I think we have like 60 episodes. I
Nice.
think we threw out 3 at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Right, just to juice it up a little bit.
Right.
And we've had a couple bonus episodes along the way. So yeah, right about 60, I think. So someone will call us on that. And
Right.
they
Somebody
were
go count.
wildly
and give us-
overestimating.
Yeah. Wow. Well done, us.
Yes. Yes.
Look at us
And it's
now.
interesting if you ask, because there's a bit of a dark art when it comes to podcasting and charts and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I did
Absolutely.
some research on ChatGPT, or our research department, as we commonly affectionately call them.
Right.
And it calculates the average number of listeners per month, and it's an average number, so it can go up and down, but around the 50,000 mark. So,
yeah.
that's phenomenal. There's so many different channels that this podcast goes out to, right? That's
Right.
the first thing. It's not just Spotify and iTunes, but yeah, good work, guys.
Thank
Nicely
you.
done.
And going up, and it's probably a good time to mention too. We have a new sponsor coming on board, and just their luck, because I think the numbers we gave them were a lot lower than where the numbers are now. So they, every once in a while you win one. So
Time to
wanna welcome,
renegotiate.
Yeah, I want to welcome E470. E470 is the toll road here in Colorado, and I had a really neat meeting with their CEO and executive director, Joe Donahue, cool guy, car guy, and we are going to do a special episode after this episode airs with that conversation. We're actually behind the wheel, or he's behind the wheel. I'm the one holding the recorder,
Nice.
and we had a fascinating insight into just the workings of a toll road. It was a much more interesting conversation than even I'd hoped for. So
That's
watch out for
awesome.
that. And welcome E470. We're glad to have you on board. And they've got this really amazing ad campaign going on currently. You'll hear or see the spot during this episode as well. So welcome, guys.
Yeah,
That's
a big shout out to
fantastic.
their creative team, because they are, they're really thinking outside the box. So you'll hear shortly.
It's engineered for perfection. Every contour sculpted for uninterrupted motion. Wider, smoother, more refined, and drives like a dream. Introducing the 2026 E470. Experience the difference.
driving cars, Lindsey, I heard that there was a rumor that you were driving a Cobra the other week. Is that true?
Yes. So my dad actually drove it. There was a lot of, we sort of Rochambeau for who got to be in the passenger seat this time. This is the one that I drove like a year and a half ago for the Cobra Club car show. Same car. But yes, we did an early morning weekend drive down to Crystal Cove, which is one of my absolute favorite spots for an informal cars and coffee. It was beautiful weather, and it's just so fun to see that car, and it's wild. It really highlights how tiny the car is when you see it on the road with, modern cars. And I was on the way down, I was following it in the truck. And so just the contrast, you could put it in the back of the truck almost.
Hey, we're talking real Cobra 289 here, guys. This isn't
Correct.
some fiberglass thing. This is also cool that this is the real deal. Very special car. So
It's always fun to see people realize what it is, because you never know. It's old enough at this point, and there's a lot of young people in the hobby, especially on social media. And so it's fun to see when people, you can see it click when people realize what it is, and they're just wait a minute.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, the turn signal stock is unique, as we learned from Dan, right?
It is,
That's how
yes.
you know. Yeah, yeah.
And now you know there's a button for that somewhere.
Right.
Right.
Ryan, you were also driving some classics. Is
I
that right?
had a great day a few days ago with a group of friends here locally. Got about 6 or 7 cars together. I'm not going to name everyone individually, but I will say the cars. There was an E-Type Jaguar. There was a Jaguar, an XK120, Porsche 912, a modern Bentley convertible, which I guess Continental, which was also included, but that owner also has some amazing vintage stuff as well. But I got to drive our friend Tom Horan's new Emory car. So, of course, Tom Horan is the chair of the Colorado Grand, and he took delivery of this car on last year's Colorado Grand.
That's right.
And I actually got to ride shotgun with Rod Emory in a different Emory car for a full day of the Grand. But this was my first time driving an Emory, and it was pretty great. This specific Emory is painted in this beautiful Aston Martin green, which is cool and
So
unique.
pretty.
So pretty. It's a 2.4 liter. I know there are a few different Emory engines. There's an engine that he's putting into cars now that's even a little bit bigger, but this one's about 200 horsepower. It's a Polo 964 engine, but 4 cylinders. So it's the architecture of a 964 6-cylinder, but it's 4 cylinders. So it's about 200 horsepower. The car is only 1,880 pounds. So, it's a pretty good power to weight ratio. In fact, that's a better power to weight ratio than like a Lotus Elise. So it does have some shove, probably a little slower at altitude and with me at the wheel, but great car because I got to drive it back to back with our friend Dan McInnes's 912. So very similar experiences, right, from the factory. Dan's car, he says, makes about 85 horsepower, and now I'm in this Emory that's making double the horsepower. It's the world's best 356 because, it's brought down to the bare elements and reconstructed. And there's not a squeak, not a rattle, right? The steering, you get in a bog, stock 356, and even from the factory, there's a lot of play, right? This steering was like, 2 gears together. It was quick. It was, the brakes are all disc. But it still drives. It doesn't drive like a new car. It drives like, the very best, 356 vintage car.
Right.
And really kind of fell in love with the thing. It's not a cheap car, and is it worth it to you? I don't know. Try one and find out. But I absolutely get it. They're special. They're really, really special. And I was really honored and pleased to drive the thing. And so thank you, Tom. It's if I ever have the means, I highly suggest I buy one.
You're running straight to Emory.
That's right. They're super cool. And of course, there's a whole process. You order one, it takes time, right? So there's the build up. You see, Rod will send you, images as the car's being built, and they take it very seriously. It's quite the process, and then of course the payoff is when you take delivery, and it's just a magnificent thing. It's a work of art and a work of, I think, mechanical art too. So shout out to Rod, shout out to Tom, and shout out to the crew. Really one of the best drives I've had in a long time. It was pretty wonderful, pretty special. Nice. We're talking about it for a long time.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah, the picture that you sent, I was like, it was like, flowers blooming, birds singing, whatever, just like
it was
the color of the car and the sunshine and the spot that you had stopped by the water.
Yeah.
I'm like, it looks like a magazine shot.
So has
she
Stella
is.
ever met Otto?
Not yet, but she has been on Late Night Playset.
That's awesome.
Who's
Yeah.
Otto?
Otto is Nate's dog from the Mercedes-Benz Classic Center.
Ah,
I mean,
His
Dan,
Instagram
it's-
is Otto the Long Boy.
Yeah. So, his reputation precedes him, I guess.
is he a Great Dane?
He's a dachshund,
Ah,
just like
there we go.
Stella.
There we go. Where were we?
Yeah.
Driving cars.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was my story. I'm sticking to it. Great car. Love the
Nice.
Henry
Good story.
cars. Would love to own one someday. So
Yes. Well, I had a completely different experience last week.
Yeah.
As I said, I was in South Carolina and I can talk a little bit about it. I was filming with friends from BMW, and we filmed all day on a Thursday, actually a week tomorrow, or last week. And at lunchtime, it was my duty to buy everyone lunch. So we were
Lucky
halfway
you.
through our filming. Yeah. And as I went to say, right, I'll go get lunch, one of the guys there from BMW said, do you want to take an M5? And, I said, pardon?
You're
"No,
like, that's
we've got
not a
an
real question. You know the answer. Yes, please.
We've got an M5 touring in the car park. Do you want to take it?
yeah.
I was like, throw me the keys. Where are the keys? Give me the keys. So proceeded to drive that car the long way to go get lunch and the long way
Yeah.
back. So everyone had cold Chick-fil-A, but I had a good time. Yeah. What do you guys think about that car, the M5 touring?
I think it's super cool. I'm so jealous that you got to drive it, and it
Yeah.
was like such a spectacular color, even. So, I mean, I remember the launch at Car Week. I remember seeing it launched in the States, at least, on the lawn, at the lodge, and seeing that, and all the discussion around it. And is there a market for it? Are people
Yeah.
going to want it? Yada yada yada. So, I'm really curious what you thought.
Yeah. So firstly, they're selling more wagons than they are the saloon.
I love that, and I didn't know that. That
Yeah.
is, yeah.
No.
Who says we
Yeah.
won't buy wagons? Yeah.
There's actually a premium right now on dealers on the wagons versus the saloon. And the one I had was blue. They had two there
Nice.
in actual fact. The other one was Dakar yellow. Do you remember Dakar yellow?
Yeah.
Yes,
That's a lot of
That
real
was
estate for that
the-
color, though.
that
Yeah.
was the E36 M3 yellow.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, I got behind the wheel. Everything I've read about that car is how big it is. And I'll say it didn't feel big when you're driving it.
That's a triumph.
Yeah. It's, making a big car feel
Well,
small.
it's a
is
BMW,
definitely a skill.
Lindsey, but stupid
Oh, that was good.
British car
Car-
joke.
car.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there like a subcategory of dad jokes that's like dad car jokes?
It's funny how you hit 50 and they just start coming out of you.
Right?
You can't get them.
It's like the
tamp
cliches.
'em
There's
down,
always an element of truth in the cliches.
We've invented a whole new genre,
Yeah.
dad car jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, please text us your favorites. So anyway, the car didn't feel big, which was a triumph. It had the moonroof. So not all of them have got moonroofs, but it's a
Okay.
fixed moonroof. The technology was interesting. The big thing for me is when you're using Apple Maps, you've got three views. You've got a heads-up display. You've then got a map within the screen on the dash, if you will, and then the other screen on the right had a zoomed-out map of the Apple Map. So I kept expecting that the screen on the right was going to zoom into specifically where I needed to be, but it wasn't. It was more holistic, and it was the screen within the dashboard that was the detail.
So
You don't need
how
screens
was
on every
that-
surface, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
just don't need that.
Well,
That's
and
your
what
sense.
was that like? You're navigating to a place that you haven't been before. You're driving the car. Like, what was that like actually driving the car and trying to orient yourself and be like, oh wait, here's what I need. It's over here, but it's also on the other screen, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, I always default to the right-hand screen, right, for Apple Maps. So it took me a while to get used to the fact that actually I should be looking straight ahead and on the heads-up for the road names. But it was quick. That car's over 700 horsepower.
Yeah, and
you
it's a
can
hybrid.
drive it. Yeah, hybrid. You can
Yeah.
drive it in EV-only mode. I would say, I guess my lasting impressions was it was super quick. It was heavy. There's no getting around that. It's a heavy
Right.
car.
What do we know what it weighs, Dan? What's heavy these days?
We can ask a research department if we have a minute. But
and the reason I ask is, I mean, the Polestar behind me is like 4,600 pounds, you know, and I'm just curious if this being with the hybrid system and everything is 'cause that's now sort of my baseline. If this is
Well, and with it
obviously
being
this
a wagon,
doesn't have 700 horsepower.
it's going to be heavier anyway.
Yeah, true.
So how much is the Polestar?
I think it's 4,600. You know,
Okay, so this is 5,530 pounds. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Well, we already know that our Chat GPT rounds up a little, so maybe it is closer to 4,600. But
But
They're not
it's
as far apart as we
interesting.
would guess.
yeah,
With BMW, they underestimate the horsepower. So Porsche do the same thing, right?
yeah, 100%.
I think other manufacturers maybe, overestimate. But
Yep.
so over 700 horsepower. It was quick. It was heavy. I think if I had the money, I would, and I didn't need the touring, didn't need the
Yeah.
wagon bit. I would go for the previous generation M5 because that's just more an agile car.
Yeah.
But if I needed the boot space, then yeah, it's a winner.
So importantly, you chose the blue over the yellow. You could have taken the key to either.
No, I didn't get the choice.
Ah, okay. What if you were speccing it? Would you go for something?
Green, Isle of Man green.
Okay, right.
Was that the launch green, that beautiful emerald
Yeah.
green?
Yeah, that's a pretty color.
Tan seats and Isle of Man green.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
That one, it's so striking.
Yeah.
Would you do that over an AMG wagon? Either of you? It's probably a more fun
I
drive
would.
to be in. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I've not driven. Yeah, I mean, your options are the RS6, the M5, the Mercedes, or the Porsche Panamera Turbo
Yeah,
wagon.
Right.
which is kind of not a competitor in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
really.
I think the M5 wins it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might, especially now that Mercedes has those star patterns in the taillights, which you kind of love it or hate it propositions.
That's a deal breaker for you. You're like, that's it.
The whole point of that car is stealth, right? You get it in black because all AMG wagons are in black, maybe in silver, but that's a stealth mobile. I think if I were getting the BMW, I would go for a Dakar yellow or, something a little exotic, right?
Celebratory.
Really scream. Yeah.
Well, I think they made the right move, making the launch color such a bright color because everybody got to see it. And I know a lot of manufacturers will do, a distinctive color, but there's just something about the combination of that particular sort of like jewel box green. And actually, Alpha has one on the
Absolutely.
Quadrifoglio. The
Very
Giulia
similar.
Quadrifoglio
Yep.
has that kind of jewel box emerald green. And I'm not even necessarily a green car person, but there's something about that color on both of those where it's like, yes.
But can you get it with the gold package, Dan?
I've got no idea.
Then
No
we're
idea.
talking. Then we're talking.
Yeah,
I'm
but,
jealous. I haven't. I've hardly seen one in the wild. I think I've seen one
No.
or two. So
That's amazing.
well
So
done.
do you know about the yellow one? Is that something they're offering standard, or was that like because you were at the special place you were at?
No,
do
you
think?
you can spec it the yellow. I don't think the yellow works because it's quite a flat yellow.
yeah.
And on that car, there's such a surface area.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, you want a little more life.
Yeah. So for me, it doesn't work. For me, the green is. This was blue.
Okay.
The one I had was a blue color, which was a
Which
lovely
I thought
color.
was beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. I purposely parked it right at the back of Chick-fil-A so no one would open a door and all that sort of stuff, And
You were being protective.
Yeah,
I was being very protective.
as I do with rental cars. But yeah, good. I'm glad you did that.
Yeah, very good. So you were talking about what color, and I think, Ryan, you brought something up earlier on. There is a certain country in the world. We talk about, talk about civilization and talk about freedom of choice. What's going on with that country?
So I'm a big fan of this YouTuber who goes by Bald and Bankrupt. My wife, not a fan, thinks he's a jerk. I think he's highly entertaining. And watched a video of him, and it's Turkmenistan, I think is how it's pronounced. And it is I think a former Soviet republic, kind of straddling Europe and Asia. And this dictator has dictated that everyone in the country drive a white car, although I think silver also is okay. You can't have tinted windows either, which I am totally down with. I hate tinted windows. But it got me thinking, if you were, dictating,
Right.
what would you dictate your countrymen and women drive? What color?
Well, I think what's so funny is it's like, what would be ahead of that on the list if suddenly you're like, oh, I'm a dictator. Where do I start? I'm starting with the color of everyone's car.
We may have this opportunity
Right?
at some point, but yeah, that's what would you go for? Because I would say, I would welcome my country folk to the People's Republic of Meerblau. I think that's what I would go with, but if I were king.
Dan, do you have your answer?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? What would you dictate the color of the country's cars to be?
Yeah. I mean, I have like a few. I mean, red pops into my mind just because I love red. But I'm like, but is that what I want every single car in the country to be? How big is this country? How many cars are we talking?
Yeah, that speaks revolt to me now, Lindsey.
Right? You
got to keep the people in line.
I'm inciting. Yeah. What do they say? Well, if you do, if you do red and yellow together? That's why they do McDonald's. It's red and yellow because it makes you hungry. So I would say everybody can have red and yellow.
Yeah.
Ketchup and mustard.
Yeah. Makes me hungry for the McDonald's of yore, though. Current McDonald's not really cutting it in my eyes, but
with the characters and like the Hamburglar and the playground.
Right. I want to get stuck in that little hamburger jail on the Playland.
Well, and we were reminiscing in my house and educating the younger generation the other day. I don't know if Dan, you probably did not have this experience, but people used to do their birthday parties at McDonald's when I was growing up.
It's a huge deal.
It was amazing. I mean, I don't know that I ever got to have one of my own parties, but I attended many a fiesta at McDonald's.
I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but growing up, when we did, McDonald's was the Alpha and the Omega, and the Happy Meal things that they had, like, Dukes of Hazzard, plastic-shaped Happy Meal containers, and
what?
They did UFOs thing. You used to be able to buy those McDonald's Land cookies that were like crack. If they ever brought those back, I'd eat those every day. You could get those hot apple pies. The little gift certificates you get from your grandmother at Christmas. And
oh my gosh, that was a huge
That was
deal.
just a different. That was a whole different vibe.
It was a different time. I know we didn't splurge on Happy Meals at my house, but I'll defer
plain
to you.
hamburgers and water.
Yeah.
Is that what you?
I'm
You're in McDonald's jail.
The only thing I will add is the coolest McDonald's I've ever been to was off of a lake in New Zealand, and it is an aeroplane.
Oh,
well, that's very
cool.
cool.
Go onto the aeroplane to get your food and eat your food. So look that up. Aeroplane in New Zealand.
Plus, you're in New Zealand. I mean, how can you lose?
Doesn't get much better than that. For sure.
It's like an afterthought. You're like, and you're also in New Zealand, but airplane McDonald's.
Yeah.
I might have to go with that Alfa Romeo Quadrifoglio or Quadrifoglio green, which is also similar to the M5 Touring green.
Yeah, it's an amazing green.
Yeah.
I heard that there was a Porsche event last weekend in Southern California. Did anyone go?
I did not, for the first time ever, unfortunately.
You've been to every one, haven't you, Lindsey?
Yeah, it felt very strange not to be there.
Lindsey, I don't think you were the only one. There was a very little buzz, at least in my circles this year.
Yeah, it was
this
funny
time around.
Last year, and I think the weather played a huge part in this because very unusually for April in Southern California, it actually rained heavily during the event. And so I think there were a lot of people that ended up not going because it was pretty early on.
Which sucks, but
I mean, it kind of literally dampened things. And so I'm wondering if that kind of carried over into this year where people went like, well, we missed last year. It was fine. Well,
Lindsey, you don't want a big puddle of Porsche, I mean, that, you got to wipe it off your shoes and, they do melt. So, yeah.
There was quite a big investment in Luft, right? Because that was in Japan. So I wonder also if people,
good point.
Saved their money and went to Japan because I hear that was amazing.
Well, it looks like it.
Yeah. How do you top that? How do you top the event the year before? At some point, right? It just sort of becomes routine, and maybe this was that year. I don't know. It wasn't there. I'm sure it was wonderful, and I'm sure people that went had wonderful experiences. But I think the bigger question is there's so much competition. There are so many events.
Right.
You know, I go to all kinds of this stuff, but I have to pick and choose, right? I only have X dollars, X time I can spend to travel and this kind of thing. And especially in Southern California, you have a spoil of riches, right?
Exactly.
I mean, you have these amazing cars and coffees every weekend. And so, you know,
I mean, maybe that's part of it, is that I also, like, that helped with the pang of not being there, is that I've gotten to do these, you know, the informal, amazing cars and coffees at Crystal Cove lately. So it wasn't
driving Cobra 289s, you know?
Right?
Which would you choose?
Like, I'm doing okay.
Friend of the show, Andreas Priniger, who we met multiple times during Car Week, and
That's
also
right.
in Goodwood was there.
Yeah.
And he also went to Good Vibes.
I know, I
Dude,
saw.
that's cool. That's
It
cool.
was too cool.
It's I think Camisa was hosting him, wasn't he?
I don't know who was hosting, because I know Johnny's post said they had, like, whether it was Andreas Berninger himself or Porsche, there was a handful of journalists, and they all got Porsches and caravanned up together.
That's awesome.
So I don't know who was the ultimate host, but it looked amazing. And can you imagine being up there and just having him show up?
Or like Spike, having him in the passenger seat riding shotgun, right? I mean, you are driving the car that was born of this man, right? Talk about, you know, watching, you know, every little thing you're doing, you know, better get that shift just right, or, you know, it's just
Yeah, if
nerves,
anything's
you know?
going to make you self-conscious or second-guess yourself,
Yeah.
that would be it.
Yeah. That's like trying to hang a Picasso on the wall with Picasso, you know, behind your shoulder. I mean, that's tough.
He's standing
That's
there
tough.
going, a little higher on the left side.
That's right.
You're good.
And then he says, it's upside down. You know, I mean, it's just,
You have
rough.
grossly
It's
misunderstood my art. I'm leaving.
shoot. But congrats to Spike for getting him on the show. That's
I know.
a score.
Yeah.
It was a good episode. It was an interesting conversation.
Right on.
He seems, and it was funny because Spike commented like, yeah, you're more American than we are in some ways. And like, he said he's a big fan of pickup trucks. Like he has a Dodge Ram himself, which
Interesting.
I didn't see that coming.
And I bet he knows there are 50 states in the union. Just saying.
Yes.
And listening to country music. He's a big fan of
Really?
Garth Brooks. I don't know.
In his
Making up a
truck,
story. Yeah.
Let's just all make it up.
Wait till ChatGPT picks that up. It'll become a
Right?
thing, Dan. You know.
He,
got a
he only
requisite
drives his duty-free
cowboy hat.
touring with cowboy boots on.
That's right.
There you
Very
go.
good.
Narrow pedal
Very
box
good.
and all. Yeah.
I've got an interesting question for you guys, and I'll give you an example in a minute.
Yeah.
Which car manufacturers are not doing right by their audience, by their customers? So the example I'll give you, and I've got a couple of other thoughts, but the example I'll give you is Subaru. So we love Subaru on this show. We know that there is a lot of demand for the STI, but they just refuse to make it these days, right? I was at SubiFest last year. There were so many STIs at that event, you know, wall-to-wall STIs. But I feel like Subaru are not doing the right thing by their customers by not producing the cars that they want.
Yeah.
So can you guys think of any other manufacturers that are similar?
Well, and I don't know why that's the case for Subaru, because, you know, STI has always been more of a handling and aero and braking exercise versus huge extra power, right? So it wouldn't seem like it would take that much to do that. Like it would be an easy, you know, it's like Porsche's RS or whatever. They're going to sell everyone they make, right? But the brand that comes to mind to me is Mini. And I was in a friend's, I don't know, Mini. It's probably 6 or 8 years old, and I hadn't been in a Mini in a while. My parents had a Clubman for a long time. I very famously, a few years ago, drove all the JCW GP cars back to back, which was a real thrill. From the last of the classic cars bought at the John Cooper Works dealership in the UK to the, at the time, the most recent GP car, and they were wonderful. But I've seen a couple of the new Minis, the Mini Cooper specifically, on the road recently. That rear view is rough, and I know they're BMW based now, for better or worse, but I just feel like they've kind of lost their way. And I know they had terrible sales. I was driving someone past, we have a big Mini dealership south of Denver the other day, and their reaction was, well, I've never actually seen a Mini dealership before, much less one that, you know, is as big as the Chevy dealership next door. And I think they were really struggling with just bringing people in the door and supporting these giant buildings that Mini had dictated they build, you know, way back when Mini was There you go again.
Yeah.
Mini was was really killing it. I just feel like from what I've heard, they're just not the same. And there was a magic, right? There was something. If you drove a Mini, you were making a statement, right? They were a statement piece, and just neat cars, handled like nothing else. Like they were a square stance and everything. So that's the car that comes to mind. I think there are a few. But that's another one. I just think they kind of lost their way, or they're just not giving the customers what I think the true enthusiasts of the brand are looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the modern ones, I think I saw one the other day, and it took me a second to even realize that it was a Mini, which,
Yeah.
I think it's always tricky, and I don't envy the designers sort of when they're tasked with like, okay, refresh it, come up with a new thing, but also maintain the design language. And, have people know that it is what it is instantly, but also make it totally new. Like, that's
And
not a
get
simple,
bigger and,
right. Like, it's not
yeah.
a simple proposition,
Yeah.
but it's hard when sometimes you're like, okay, but this is not it. But,
Yeah.
it's easy for me to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's definitely different. It's a departure from sort of the classic, even the new ones, classic lines have been good. That's disheartening. You never want to see that with a brand that everybody loves because they were so charming and fun and cute. And,
Yeah.
speaking of colors, think about all the options.
Yeah.
Right,
With the roofs
right.
and the, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Configurations.
wing mirrors,
Brand
all the
equity
whole.
is a big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have an alternative, Lindsay?
No.
The other ones I was thinking about VW and specifically the Golf.
Yeah.
I feel like the Golf has lost its way. They used to do the hot hatch,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it just got warmer over the years, didn't it?
The lukewarm
Neighbor-
hatch.
Yeah.
That's right. Neighbor across the alley, I think in part of my recommendation, just brought home a new GTI. And it's that really pretty gray color. Couldn't get it in manual, which she wanted, but she ended up getting the the DSG and the auto. Also, I think cross shop the R, but for her purposes, just couldn't justify the leap in price of $15,000 or whatever. But that is like the last real Volkswagen, that car, right? And we all know Volkswagen peaked in 2002. But
You heard it here first.
yeah, that is the last that's the last soldier, right? In my
Yeah.
opinion, is the GTI.
I think for me though, like the GTI, it's not competitive compared to the competition.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is like a modern day GTI for me is the GR Corolla.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then they've got the S3 within the VAG group, right? And many people will probably tell you that that's the better car, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So
and
anyway,
it's an Audi, right?
Yeah.
let
Well,
us
I
know
think
what
it's-
you think.
I think it's interesting, looking at the WRX STI, because there is so much demand, like conversationally. But I feel like we talked about this on the show too. Is like, do consumers put their money where their mouth is? Like, if they made them, do they sell all of them? And obviously, like, manufacturers have to look at all of the regulations and the emissions because you look at, you're like, why would Ford make the Escort for so long or whatever? It's like they have to balance, overall fuel economy or something. And so they have to
yeah.
have the tiny cars or the economy cars with the big cars or whatever. And I'm sure that's part of it with Subaru, but, it's like, is it economically sound for them to keep making them? Are people willing to commit and keep buying them, even though ostensibly there is demand? And obviously
Yeah.
Subaru knows the answer.
Well, they're still selling the WRX, right? So
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
selling
But
a
it's made the
variation
same
on
power for 10
performance.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not
Yeah.
that. Are they making as many?
don't know, but the other one I was thinking of was Ferrari, and mainly because
Yes.
these days a lot of their cars I think look quite similar, but Ferrari customers are screaming out for a manual.
Yeah. Yeah.
Screaming out for a manual.
Yeah.
And there's rumors, and I've heard from senior design folks that there's a manual coming,
Yeah.
but there's no manual. It's like, the Gordon Murray cars are doing amazing. One sold last week for 8 million. I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw that.
Well, I think there's an aesthetic thing going on there too, Dan, not just the
Yes.
manual. And,
Yeah.
you know, had Ryan Sapka on the show a couple episodes ago.
Right.
Brought in a lot of new listeners to the show. So thank you. We should do more Ferrari content is the lesson I learned. But a lot of the Ferrari guys I know, guys who have 6 or 8 Ferraris, the newest thing in their collection is often something like a 575 or a 360. I think when they stopped working with Pininfarina, things all went to shit. When they stopped, you know, offering a manual, you know, that certainly didn't help. I do not aspire to own a modern Ferrari personally, and I think it's they've lost their way. I grew up, you know, hell, I wanted a Mondial, you know, I'd still take a Mondial, you know, but that's a real Ferrari in a way that, you know, something like the 12 cylinder, fill in your own Italian. Just
Right.
doesn't quite do it for me. There was something special, and the new ones just, As someone
Well,
who's
they're
never owned a
sort of-
Ferrari, maybe never will, I'm here to say they've lost their way. But
I'm your source for all things Ferrari.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I always gravitate to, you know, and it goes back to like what's peak Ferrari. I mean, the Testarossa for me, but that's
Yeah.
such a bygone era.
Yeah.
But it was such a unique sort of alchemy of like one of those moments that you can't force, and you know,
But
just
not
so
a sports car. So
true.
Yeah. Anyway.
But they've
Yeah.
recently named a car the Testarossa, haven't they? I think. And I heard that the
Is this
only
like-
reason they named it the Testarossa was after a certain period of time, you have to have a product with the same name, or else you lose the copyright and trademark.
Oh, interesting.
Is this why the new Countach?
Potentially,
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
Oh,
Interesting.
that makes more sense now. It's just, I'm having visions of like the Bronco and the Bronco 2. They're like introducing the Testarossa 2. It's
we go.
awful.
Yeah. Electric Boogaloo. Yeah.
Testarossa Raptor.
The Tractor. Yeah.
The Traptor. Yeah. There you go.
The Traptor, not the tractor. Yeah. Anyway, that's just some thoughts and musings
Yeah,
on which car companies have lost their way. But let us know what you think. Send us a message. We'd love to read them out and say, you know, good ideas, or we might even shoot some of them down. But let us know what you think.
You
We're
should have
making
seen
no
some of the-
promises.
Shoot any of them down. I'll take that back. We won't shoot any of them down. We are open and respectful on that car show.
Have you
Unless
been
it's the
following
wrong
some of the
answer.
Have you been following some of the amateur detective work on Angeles Crest Highway that's been
No.
going on in our comments section? People breaking down the
Who it is?
speech patterns and things. So some of our commenters have some theories on the identity of our pal.
I mean,
What I
I
will-
love to
ADH.
see all the engagement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What I will say, he's getting quicker at getting those things out.
I know.
Like, wow.
I think the Long Beach Grand Prix was out that night, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And the Porsche
Yeah.
launch.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
has not lost his edge. So
No.
you know that's a gift when you can be that
Prolific.
prolific. I said promiscuous. Don't know about him.
I mean,
You're on it tonight, right?
this is how rumors get started.
Yeah, he's got the gift. So yeah,
True. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they're so good. I mean, every time you see a new one, I'm just like, oh, this is going to be
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think, and it goes back to what we talked about with him and what we've all said to each other, you know, individually, but it's just so true.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you laugh at the whole thing and like laugh at yourself. And it's just, and I think it prolongs the excitement of the event. Like I missed the GP this year and I was like, this is fun. I feel like I got to be a part of it anyway.
yep.
I like the guess the character. Who is it in the because
Yes.
like you know Kroeninger was in one. Chris
I know.
Harris
Ah,
has been in one.
that's ballsy. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like he
Uh,
said, nobody's safe because it's not targeted at anybody. So everybody's safe, but everybody's a target. But in a
I think
friendly
you should
way.
all send him a message and say put Ryan in one.
There we go.
Come
We're
on,
going to
everyone, send him a
crowdsource
message.
Ryan's appearance in an ADH video.
Right.
Yeah.
But just boost me up a little bit in every category just to make me feel better. You know.
Right.
Yeah, put him in a 356, make
Yeah.
him look 20 years younger, and you'll have a fan for life.
Absolutely. We should be so lucky. That's when you know you've
Right?
really made it, right? When, but eventually, if he's kicking these things out 3 a day or whatever he's doing, eventually he'll get to us, right?
Right.
At least that's my hope.
We'll see.
You got to be on that list somewhere, right? I know.
The day he starts mocking our Pearl Street gang in Denver, this is the day we know he's probably
He's
jumped the
run out
shark.
of
Maybe it's
content.
jumped the
Yeah,
shark.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, very good.
But we welcome it,
Um,
of course.
Are cars loved if they don't have a name?
Nope.
And then a vote from Ryan.
Yeah, I've never been one to name cars. I don't. And ironically, I have some of the deepest emotional connections to my cars versus friends who just go through cars like, it's going out of style. I'll have this GT4 forever if I can help it. Right. I'll add to collection hopefully someday. But I love that car.
But no names.
More than you know. But it has no name.
Yeah. Lindsey, what are your cars called, and what's the inspiration on your cars?
So my cars have been named, like we had, one of the family Broncos when I was a kid was named. And there's a movie called Romancing the Stone. It was Catherine, or Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner.
Yes.
Kathleen Turner. Yeah.
And so there's a Bronco in that movie that was around the era of the last one that my family had. And it's named Pepe, which just struck all of us. We were watching it as a family, and we all just were dying laughing because we were like, wait, that's the car that we have.
Yeah.
And so then my mom got one of the first gen Expeditions because they had stopped the Bronco, started the Expeditions, and she needed a car and ended up getting one of those. And so, of course, that one had to be named Pepe.
I like that.
And
That's
there's
great.
this funny line in the movie where the guy says something about Pepe is his favorite pig. So it was Pepe the Pig was the name of that car. And then,
I like that.
when I started acquiring my own cars, and then my daughter was old enough to talk and started watching Cars, the movies, of course, she started realizing that we had some of those cars in our driveway. Like we had a red sports car that became Lightning McQueen, and then it all cascaded from there. And there were several cars named after the Cars franchise. I think we had Lightning, Sally, and Finn McMissile at one point.
It's very cool.
I love it.
Please
What about you, Dan?
write in and give us a name for Ryan's car.
Which he will never use.
My cars have always been named. So everything from my first Fiesta.
That surprises
was
me a
Freddy the
bit.
Fiesta.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a family thing, I think. So Freddy the Fiesta.
That's so
what else
cute.
have I had? Yeah, he was cool. My current Audi is blue, so it's Electra blue, so it's Carmen Electra.
I love it.
Yeah, very tenuous. But I was also reading online, there was a few, and see if you can guess what the car model is based on the name of the car.
Oh, okay.
So the first one was Vlad.
The Impala.
Correct.
See?
Vlad,
Okay.
the Chevrolet
Took me a
Impala.
second. Yeah.
The next one was Dora.
An
That's got to
Explorer.
be an Explorer. Yeah.
Dora the Ford
Yeah.
Explorer.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think what the others were. There was a whole list of them.
That's so
Anything else
fun.
remember? Yeah.
See, these people are going a long way, like putting some real thought into it.
They're going way and beyond, aren't they? It's
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I think Vlad's worth it, though. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty excellent. That's
one where you have to have a sticker on the back, don't you? You have to.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and Dora's clever. I don't know that I would have come up with that, but it's so perfect.
Yeah. It's anyway. That was a couple that came to mind. I can't think of the others at the minute, but maybe we'll do a competition for them.
That's
I'm
pretty
just
fun. But
still
yeah.
trying to process the fact that the Expedition was a replacement for the full-size Bronco, which makes sense, but I never really considered that. Do you know how much, how soon after the demise of the Bronco? Because that damn Bronco was made through like
They
95
stopped the
or
Bronco
something?
in 96, and the first
96.
Expedition came out in 97.
Wow. So yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Well, and what's so, I mean, it's interesting for me, which won't surprise anybody, being as steeped in Ford as I was, is when word came out that they were ceasing Bronco, production, and it was like, yeah, but they're going to come out with a four-door Bronco. And Bronco enthusiasts will know there used to be something called a Centurion, which
Right.
was a four-door Bronco. And I recently learned, I used to think when I was a kid that they took a Bronco, cut it in half, and inserted the middle section. And I just learned that they actually are made from an F-250 quad cab and the back end of a Bronco.
Interesting.
So there's
Which-
less splicing than I was coming up
sure.
with in my head.
I mean, a Bronco always just looked like a pickup truck with a cab on the back. I mean,
Right.
you could kind
So
of
they just
see that.
So
yeah.
they would cut the bed off the F-250,
Huh.
cut the Bronco, in half behind the front seats, and then splice those two together, and you basically had an excursion
There
from
you
the
go.
80s or in the 80s or 90s.
Right.
So, that's in my head. I was like, great, they're just going to mass produce the Centurions.
Yeah.
And then in other countries, they had the B250, I think, which was like a 3-door because it only had one rear passenger door.
Oh, wow.
But it was basically a Ford Suburban or a Centurion,
Wow.
a 3-row big SUV.
Wow.
And so then when they came out with the Expedition, I was like, well, this doesn't look anything like what I was expecting.
Jeez. Yeah. We're like PBS tonight.
Right.
Every day's a school day.
Every day is a school day. Well, I
hope
was
you're
with Jay
taking
Leno
notes.
the other day, and Jay was telling the story about how there is a link segue about an explorer. He was telling the story about an explorer, and someone had brought it to him and said, "Look, it's got this guy's previous owner's name all over it, and I don't know how to get rid of all this branding. Like his name's all over it." And Jay said to him, "What's the name?" It's like Mr. Eddie Bauer. It was an Eddie Bauer edition of the Ford Explorer.
You
Oh
should
my
see his
gosh.
underwear.
Right?
Calvin Klein. Yes.
Yeah. Calvin, Mr. Klein. Yeah, they used to have the Eddie Bauer Broncos had little trees in the seats.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I just knew that was one the rich people all had was the Eddie Bauer tree.
The Eddie Bauer, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so.
What was the equivalent like?
I don't know. I mean, well, I know Subaru did an LL Bean collaboration.
Absolutely, and you get the 3.6. If only
Yeah.
they still had a 3.66 flat six in their cars today.
Is LL Bean better than Eddie Bauer, or
I would say it's equivalent. I mean, they're both outdoor outfitters, which are really just clothing companies at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I don't know if there were any other
outdoor companies?
Yeah, or like collaborations like that where it was like the such and such edition. But I mean, they had a partnership with Eddie Bauer for a long time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you could get an Eddie Bauer Bronco, Eddie Bauer Explorer, maybe a truck. I don't know. But yeah, you could tell because there were 4 body colors and then they had tan accents over the wheel wells and the bottom,
That's right.
whatever you call it, like little
right.
border. So you could get red, white, blue, or green with the tan accent or black. Yeah. So 5 colors.
Lindsay, 3 words. What comes to mind when you hear Bronco 2?
Blech.
Blah blah.
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. I just need the one. I am sure that the intent was obviously to make money and to create like an SUV for people that didn't
Yeah.
need the big SUV. But no, like in all fairness, the reason I say that is because they were so unstable.
Yeah.
They were like, it was a short wheelbase, tall car, not a good recipe.
Yeah.
And maybe like now when you look at, like when I look at the styling now, I didn't know this as a kid when they were on the road and being produced. Like the styling is reminiscent of a first gen Bronco, which has the same problem, tall car, short wheelbase.
True.
But they just, it's like they just sort of fell short in every area.
Yeah.
And, I mean, to my mind, like the full size Bronco was just such a win that to call the Bronco to try and like hitch its wagon to that when it was so didn't live up to it that it's like
Like the Mustang too. Ford's got a way. Yeah. Anyway, all right.
History
An
repeats
hour.
itself, doesn't it? Because then you have the Mustang Mach-E,
right.
Yeah. The Testarossa 2.
Testarossa 2 coming soon, manual only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're like,
Heard it here
Ford's done
first.
it. We should try this out.
Yes. What have we guys got coming up over the next few weeks? Anything exciting?
Nothing formal, but the weather has been getting better. So I am hoping to get the M3 out for a drive, get the GT4 out for a drive.
Nice.
Just spend as much time behind the
You
wheel as
have this
possible.
fleet. Yeah. And I'm off to LA on Monday to see a friend of the show. I don't think I can say too much right now. I think I'm under
Stay
what do they call
tuned.
it?
Writers.
I'm on assignment.
Whatever.
But yeah, under
On
embargo.
assignment.
At least I'm
So
self-embargo.
glamorous.
Yeah.
I'll spill the beans later.
Glamorous
But I should
story
have
to
some
write.
good stories. Yeah.
Right.
And shout out to Genesis, our friends at Genesis. I'm going to land at LAX and have a new G90, I think they call it the Black Edition. It's their top of the
Wow.
line, fancy pants, Bentley-esque sedan. So I'll be driving around LA like a king,
Like
or
a boss.
dictator.
I love it. Well,
You
I mean,
should,
I think that's pretty much the trifecta: on assignment, under embargo, and in a press car. You have arrived.
All you need to do
Yeah,
is drive
yeah,
down
yeah.
Beverly Hills, pull up at the lights, and Daniel Mack will come out and say, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" You wait,
So
it's gonna
that's
happen
Not
in that
much.
car.
That's your side mission for the trip, is to get that to happen.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Daniel Mack
That's
said,
right.
"I'll
That'll
see
be
that."
the
Drive
day.
around with your window
You
down.
know the guy, like set something up, you know, and just make it
Yeah.
look like it was, you know,
Fake
just
and
by accident. Yeah,
staged.
It's totally spontaneous. No one saw this coming.
Genesis. Yeah, huge exposure, you know. So
Yeah, good for
Looking forward
you.
to it.
That'll be a fun car. Yeah, I'm going this weekend to Laguna Seca. I'm going
Nice.
to check out the IMSA racing. So
Nice.
looking
Oh,
forward to
that's
that.
so
Should be a
cool.
lot of fun.
Very
Long
cool.
drive,
Like
Very cool.
but yeah, it'll be worth it for the weekend.
Such
And
a
I'm
great
catching up
track.
with friend of the show, Carl Noakes, editor
Nice.
in chief of the
nice.
Advance magazine.
Yes,
So,
yes.
that should
I
be
love
fun.
Laguna Seca and Carl, so that sounds like an amazing
A
weekend.
win-win.
Yeah, you're gonna fun. You're gonna fun.
Should be fun.
That's so fun.
Yeah,
Well, have a safe drive.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think that's a show, isn't it, guys?
yeah.
It looks like it.
Lots of '80s
So it-
references tonight.
There we go. Well, who's going to give us the phrase that doesn't really pay, but it's a great phrase?
The phrase that inspires people to sponsor the show.
Right.
Well, I am happy to do it. Thank you so much for joining us this week on That Car Show. And remember, always be driving, and we'll see you next week.